Wow, I definitely spent too much money on comic books this year. What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I'm Guy Wozniak, and you are watching the Comic Book Guy channel. And since it's coming up on the end of the year, I thought I would do a little bit of a recap or a revisiting of a comic book collection. I did one back in October, talked about some of my favorite books in my collection back then, and I thought today it would be nice to look at some of the newer books that I've gotten in the last few months. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's jump right into it. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you may be aware that I'm a little bit of a Swamp Thing fan, specifically the Alan Moore run of Saga of Swamp Thing, and I'm happy to report that I finished the entire run over the course of the last couple of months, specifically the entire Alan Moore run, which runs from issues number 20 through, I believe, issue number 64. As a matter of fact, I have the first 20 issues as well, or technically 19 issues, but the important ones to me are the Alan Moore books. And here we have issue number 34, which I did get in the last few months to help me complete my collection. Just a beautiful cover, you know, it's a beautiful painting rendered cover. The artwork, it's just, you know, it's fantastic. What else can I really say? The story is really what it's all about when it comes to Swamp Thing and Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. But this cover in particular, I wanted to show you guys because, yeah, I just picked it up over the last month or so, along with a couple of other books. Here's issue number 20, which is Alan Moore's first issue on the run, and issues number 28. Let me double check that I'm right. Yep. Issue number 28. Another really beautiful cover. It's Swamp Thing coming up out of the swamp, and he's carrying the skeletal remains of his former human self. It's a very existential crisis kind of story, and this cover exemplifies that in spades. It's an amazing cover. But yeah, 3 of the ones that I've picked up over the course of the last month to help me complete this run. And since I've been back into collecting comic books, I just got back into collecting comic books after a very long hiatus this year, back in like, I don't know, June or July, I think is when I restarted. This is the first like run that I've really completed that's kind of substantial, you know, 44 issue run. So yeah, it's a little bit of a celebration to say, hey, it's finally done. I got every issue. I also picked up issue number 25, which I should have brought in here. Issue 25 is the first cameo appearance of John Constantine. His first full appearance is Swamp Thing issue number 37, which I got a while ago. But yeah, cool book. And on top of that, I got this beautiful Swamp Thing statue. I can't tell you a whole lot about it. I was just like perusing eBay and I was like, I want, you know, like I have a little bit of a action figure and small statue collection. And I was like, I want a Swamp Thing statue. So throughout the course of perusing eBay, I came across this one for what I felt like was a pretty fair price and just pulled the trigger on it. Don't know who makes it. You know, can't tell you much about it other than it's a really cool semi-bust kind of statue. It's a little bit bigger than a bust, but it's not a full figure statue. But yeah, I absolutely just love it. And I love my Saga of Swamp Thing collection. I'm so happy to finally have finished it. Next up, we're going to talk about some of my new Spider-Man acquisitions because Spider-Man is technically my favorite character of all time. I don't have a huge Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man run, but this is my oldest one that I just recently picked up. I'm not a Silver Age guy, so, you know, none of the stuff that I'm about to show you is going to be Silver Age or older. It's all going to be Bronze, Copper, and modern comic books, but this is the oldest Amazing Spider-Man. I picked this up at a local store. I was just perusing their back issues, and first appearance of Madam Web. Cool book. I don't think I paid more than, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks for this one. It's kind of a key first appearance issue. Madam Web isn't exactly like a huge draw, but again, my oldest issue of Amazing Spider-Man. It's a first appearance, kind of a cool book. I've never owned this one before in the past. I don't think. I used to have, well, I probably did, because I used to have a full run of Amazing Spider-Man from issues number, I can't remember now if it was 200 through 700 or 100 through 700, but either way, this is issue number 210. So I guess I would have had this one back then. But yeah, I didn't really think much about it. This was years and years and years ago, and Madam Web wasn't even really on anyone's radar as some sort of very significant character back in those days, but you know, she's matured and grown a little bit. She was featured in a Sony kind of, you know, not a Spider-Man movie, but like a Spider-Verse movie Not a great movie, that's for sure. But anyway, the character has gotten a little bit more recognition. So yeah, I don't know. Cool book that I picked up at a local store. I didn't have to buy it online. Found it just thumbing through the boxes. So that's why I kind of like it. And yeah, wanted to share it with you guys. As I said, Spider-Man is one of, if not my all-time favorite characters. And black costume Spider-Man is maybe the pinnacle of Spider-Man for me. So I had to get Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8. It's an iconic, absolutely classic cover. It's, I don't know. Is it the first appearance of the black costume Spider-Man? Is Amazing Spider-Man 252 the first appearance? There seems to be some sort of debate about that. In my day, back when I used to collect, this was considered the first appearance of the black costume, or the origin at least. Be that, neither here nor there. I love the book, and I had to get it. The problem with buying this book, and I bought this book online, it wasn't Whatnot, but it was kind of the same sort of format where somebody on YouTube that sells comics, they do like a video broadcast once or twice a week or whatever. And it's Lady T Comics, if you care. Not sponsored, not associated with her or them or whatever at all. But yeah, I bought it. I was watching their stream and popped up. They were like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Raw copy, Secret Wars number 8. Very fine to near mint condition. I liked the price, so I said, sure, I'll take it. And yeah, they shipped it to me super fast. And here it is. I love it. Now, yeah, what was I going to say is, now that I own number 8, I feel kind of compelled to get issues 1 through 12. So I'm probably going to have to work on the entire Secret War series, which is cool because I've never read Secret Wars and I would like to. I could read it digitally. I could get it in a trade paperback format, but I'm like a floppy comics kind of guy. So I would like to get the individual floppies of the entire series now. But first and foremost, this is the biggest book in the entire run. And as I always say, if you're going to buy a run of books, buy the key book first, or the key books first if you can afford it. And yeah, that's what I did here. Very happy to have it. Now, continuing along with that theme, another black costume Spidey, Amazing Spider-Man number 252. Of course, if I had Secret Wars number 8, I had to get Amazing Spider-Man 252. And yeah, I got this one in the collection as well, right around the same time. And yeah, it's a great book. I've had this book in the past, but I am really happy to have it again. This is a very nice condition example, very easily near mint, maybe a little bit higher. Maybe it would go to a 9.6 even if I sent it in for grading. Not that I'm going to do that. I'm not the type of person that really cares about having graded comic books. And in fact, whenever I get a graded comic book, I crack it out of the slab. I put it in a bag and board. I open it up. I look at it. I read it. I enjoy it that way. So yeah, I'm not super concerned about grades in general, but a lot of people might be wondering like, oh, what kind of condition is it in? Easily a 9.4, but maybe better. But yeah, I'm working on getting like a whole run of Amazing Spider-Man again, I guess. Not super seriously. Like, if I'm going to do it, it's going to take forever, and I'm certainly never going to complete it. Like my last Amazing Spider-Man collection, I didn't complete it. I never had very many issues earlier than issue number 100. They're just, too expensive. Obviously, those first 10 or so, 15 or so are exceptionally expensive. So yeah, I'm never going to have a whole run. But if I could get the run that I had before, issues 100 through 700, that would be cool. I'd love to rebuild that run again. So I'm chipping away at it, and I chipped away at it with 252. Now, I know a lot of you guys might not be fans of J. Scott Campbell, or this cover in particular, Amazing Spider-Man number 601, but I personally love it, and I wanted to work on the J. Scott Campbell covers. So I got 601 here, and I got these two as well, the Black Cat issues, if I can get some good lighting on them. Sorry, it's a little difficult here. But yeah, 606 and 607, both J. Scott Campbell covers. I just love his artwork ever since, I don't know, way back in the day. I was like a 90s kid, right? I grew up in, in the 90s. So J. Scott Campbell was doing, kind of some provocative stuff back in those days, but it was always, appealing. And yeah, anyway, I love Spider-Man. I like J. Scott Campbell. So I had to get these books, and 601, of course, is my favorite. And it was pricey. It was a graded 9.2. I bought it off eBay. But of course, I cracked the slab. And you're probably thinking, why would you crack the slab, you crazy psychopath? And like I said, I don't keep books slabbed. I do save the The little labels, though, I don't know if you can read that from here. It was a 9.2. It's a nice looking book. 9.2 is a great grade. And specifically what I mean is it's a great condition. It's a book that I can, be happy to have in my collection. It presents beautifully at 9.2, and even books at 8 and 8.5 or even 7 usually present really nicely. So this didn't have to be a 9.2. It's just what was available for the price that I was willing to pay. So I snapped it up. And love me some J. Scott Campbell. Love Amazing Spider-Man 601. I don't know if it was like an exclusive. I don't exactly know what it was. But there was a book where he did, maybe it's not even a book, maybe it's just a picture. I saw an image. It was this same image, but from the other angle. And it was Black Cat sitting on a couch, and it was nighttime, and Spider-Man was swinging out of her window. I wish I knew what book that was. I bet it's horrifically expensive if it does even exist, if it's not just a piece of artwork that he made. It's got to be a cover, though. And I would love to have that because that was a beautiful image as well. But yeah, for now, the fantastic MJ ASM 601 is in the club, along with 606 and 607, which I got to say, I love them all. Speaking of comic books that are a little bit provocative, what we have here is a Cry for Dawn issue number 1. Cry for Dawn was a horror anthology series back in the probably late 80s, and it was done by Joseph Michael Linsner was the artist. The writer was Monk. Was his last name, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his first name now. Forgive me. Mostly I was attracted to these books, because of the beautiful imagery and the Dawn character. But yeah, these were horror anthology books, and I collected these back in the day. Actually, these might have been like mid or early 90s, not late 80s. I forget when they came out. Doesn't really matter. 9-issue series before he moved on to other things, he being the artist, Joseph Michael Linsner. Mostly Dawn stuff, but not explicitly the horror anthology Cry for Dawn series. But yeah, I used to have these back in the day. And of course, I sold off my whole collection multiple times. I've built and sold collections, and I'm going through the process of re-getting some of my favorite stuff. And yeah, Cry for Dawn number 1, I picked this up. This was a CGC graded book as well. Let's see, I believe it was an 8.5, which again is a beautiful, beautiful presenting book. The only real issue with this book is there's a teeny tiny, you can't see it of course, but there's a teeny tiny little spine split. Maybe a quarter of an inch, little tiny spine split, which definitely kind of triggers my OCD. I don't like certain types of damage or flaws in my books. Rusty staples, that's one that really bugs me. Spine splits, detached staples, and I don't mind spine ticks. I don't like little creases on the spine at all. That doesn't bother me as long as it's within reason. I don't want it to be absurdly beat or anything. But yeah, that doesn't bother me so much. Blunted corners, I don't mind. But like physical tears, spine splits, detached staples, interior centerfold pages that are detached from the staples, stuff like that really bugs me. So when I got this one, it's graded 8.5. I couldn't return it because the seller, sellers usually have a policy that if a book is CGC graded, no returns. Like you're buying the grade, you're getting the grade. It's kind of like insured that you're getting what you're getting. So I was slightly disappointed when I saw that because that's one of those types of flaws that does really irk me. It's not bad though. Like I said, it's very, very tiny, quarter of an inch little split on the edge of the spine. It's not at the top where it splits completely open. It's just down a little ways near the C on the title, Cry for Dawn. A little disappointing, but I still love the book, and I'm glad to have it back in my collection. Will I seek out a nicer copy? That's the question, and I don't know the answer to that yet. It's possible. It's possible. Just because, having that OCD, yeah, I might if I run across one, but I'm not actively looking for one. I don't have searches set up on eBay or anything yet. But, I'm going to go to MegaCon in March, big convention in Orlando, Florida. If I run across a copy, if it's the right price, if it looks a little nicer, I might target it. We will see. I do not have many Batman books in my collection. I have the entire Jim Lee Batman Hush run, which is 12 issues from 608 through 620, I guess, at 12 issues. And I recently also picked up one of my favorites, the entire Death in the Family storyline, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a great story. I think it's, kind of a historically significant story for Batman, in particular during my, formative years when I was a kid collecting comic books. I remember seeing these covers up on the comic book shelf wall. These were wall books back in those days, not particularly expensive ones, but these were considered wall books. These Mike Mignola covers are phenomenal. Again, the story's great, a little ham-fisted at points in the story, but it's overall still a great story. The spoiler alert, it's like a 40-year moratorium on spoilers, I would think. But yeah, the death of Jason Todd is the main takeaway of this story. Killed at the hands of the Joker, of course. But yeah, I had to get this run of Batman books in my collection. And again, there's not many Batman books that I really even want to own. I'm a big Batman fan, but I like the classics. I like, Death in the Family, of course. Hush, of course, like I've mentioned. The Killing Joke, Alan Moore is the best. Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, the really, really good Batman stuff. I love that. I don't just randomly collect all Batman books like I do with Spider-Man. I'm not that big of a Batman fan. But the classics, the ones that are just amazing artwork and amazing stories, sure, I want to collect those. And this falls into that for sure. So had to get the Batman Death in the Family books back in my collection, and I did. So this is kind of a cool one. I was at that little comic book store that I was telling you about where I got the Amazing Spider-Man number 210, the first appearance of Madam Web, and I was going through their back issues, and I came across the original Now Comics. I didn't know it was Now Comics or Now Entertainment or whatever. Now Comics, back after the movie, The Terminator, did a run of Terminator comic books. I've never read these, but I remember this particular cover. I remember seeing this particular cover at comic book stores for years and years and years, and always being a huge fan of the movie, The Terminator and Terminator 2, I was always like, man, I should buy those, and I never did. I've never owned this book or any of these Terminator books before, in spite of being a huge Terminator fan, a huge Predator fan, and a huge Aliens fan. So I was at that little comic book store thumbing through, and he had not only this one, he had like every issue from like 1 through 10 or 15. I just bought the first 4 issues that day, or no, 5, I guess, just to try it out, to see if I liked it, and then I will probably go back and buy some more if I do. This is a relatively recent pickup. I still haven't gotten around to reading them yet, but really cool to have them, if for no other reason than, just such a beautiful Terminator cover art. But yeah, when I get a chance to read it, I'll let you guys know what I think about it. But I'm excited to have it just because I've seen this book hanging around for years and years and years, and finally decided, what the heck, I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to buy a few of them. So in the same vein as the Terminator comic books, I'm a big fan, like I said, of Aliens and Predator. And I have owned different Aliens comics over the years, and I've owned different Predator comics over the years, but I've never owned Dark Horse Presents. I've never owned any of this series. Now, it's been debated and is probably put to rest now, but over the years, back in my day, if you were flipping through a price guide or whatever, you'd look and you'd say like, okay, Dark Horse Presents number, what is this, 24, I believe? Yeah, issue 24. Is this the first appearance of Aliens, or is Aliens number 1 from Dark Horse Comics the first appearance of Aliens in comic books? And this has at times been considered the first appearance. I don't believe that's the case anymore. I think Aliens is considered the first appearance, and this might be the origin story. But I picked up issue number 24, and got this on eBay. Unfortunately, I was kind of misled on the condition. It was sold to me as a VF, and I don't think it was a VF because there's some indentations on the cover. Like if somebody were to put a piece of paper on the comic book and with a ballpoint pen write, it's got those kind of indentations on the cover. Oh, well, it is what it is. It's still a nice looking copy. It's just a shame that it has those indentations. But I picked up issue number 24, and then I said, there's a few other Dark Horse Presents comics that feature the aliens. So I picked up 34, 35, and 36 as well. 34 and 35 are, I believe, I haven't read these yet. I just got them recently. I believe exclusively Aliens comics. No, the Predator as well. I thought it was, 34 is Aliens, and then 35 and 36, that's right, are the Predator books. So 35 is a Predator book, and then 36, this is a fantastic cover. Dark Horse Presents, the Predator. Or I think it's kind of like AVP, Aliens versus Predator. So yeah, haven't read these ones yet. Just picked these up. Just got them this past week, as a matter of fact. And excited to check them all out because, like I said, I do love Aliens. I do love Predator. I do love Terminator. Those are some of my favorite franchises, sci-fi franchises from, my youth. I enjoy them still to this day. RoboCop, that's another one. Shout out in the comments if you're a fan of RoboCop. The first two movies, phenomenal films, especially the first movie, but I enjoy the second one as well. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to add some of those sci-fi classics to my collection, and I figured why not start with some Dark Horse Presents. Kraven's Last Hunt. Probably one of my favorite Marvel stories of all time. Not one of my favorite comic book stories of all time. There's stuff out there that is much better than this, but for a Marvel story, which are typically not the most, thought-provoking and sophisticated stories of all time, this is definitely one of my favorites. And, before anyone jumps down my throat and says, like, Marvel does good stuff, this, that, the other thing. I mean, I've never read anything by Marvel that compared to the likes of, Alan Moore's work, Neil Gaiman's work, guys like that. The stuff that like DC Vertigo did, to me, there's a different level of sophistication to those stories. Your mileage may vary. You might disagree with me. That's totally fine. That said, I'm not bashing on Marvel stories in general. I love Marvel comics, and between Marvel and DC, I'm a Marvel guy, and I'm specifically a, Spider-Man guy and X-Men guy. But just to say that, this is one of my favorite Marvel stories, and yeah, that's saying a lot because I'm comparing it to some other really, really good stuff. So this is my favorite cover of these 6 books, and I have all 6 of the books here. I just figured I'd put this one on the stand. But yeah, this is part 5, Amazing Spider-Man number 294, Black Suit Spidey. We know I love Black Suit Spidey, but all of the covers are fantastic. Mike Zeck is a genius artist, and the stuff he was doing back in these days is outstanding. Spider-Man emerging from his grave. Fantastic classic cover. I might actually say that this one is just as good as 294, but it's close. It's close, but they're all great. But yeah, I decided I've read Kraven's Last Hunt many, many a times. I have read it digitally. I've read it in trade paperback form. I've read it in floppies. I've probably read it 3 or 4 times easily. But, starting my collection over, it's like, okay, what am I going to get for my collection? Well, I'm working on Spider-Man books, so obviously I'm going to work on getting this run. And yeah, I finally got it complete. The Amazing Spider-Man books were pretty easy. The hard ones to get were the Spectacular Spider-Man books. There's 2 Amazing Spider-Mans, 2 Web of Spider-Mans, and 2 Spectacular Spider-Mans in the whole run. And yeah, finding those Spectacular Spider-Mans took a minute. I have had the Amazing Spider-Man books for a while now, probably a couple of months. But I finally finished all 6 issues recently, and yeah, super happy to finally have them. Fantastic book. And again, one of my favorite story arcs of all time. In my last collection tour, I showed you guys my Wolverine mini-series, or limited series, issues 1 through 4, by the, wonderful Frank Miller and Chris Claremont. And I love those books. It's a great story. But I thought to myself, I'm going to work on the regular series a little bit, the 1988 Wolverine's regular series. And yeah, I have since picked up probably, let's see, I have issues, I only have a couple here to show you guys, but I have issues like 1 through 30, roughly. Maybe it's 31, maybe it's 32, and then a couple after that. My goal is to get the entire first 50 issues. I think I'm going to stop at issue 50. That's plenty for me, but I'm getting there. I've got, like I said, probably about 30 issues. Number 1, of course, fantastic. And the first entire story arc is really good. It's a very kind of noir-esque sort of story. Logan is in Madripoor. You got Jessica Drew is there, and she's in some kind of trouble. Wolverine's there trying to help her out. He fights the Silver Samurai. Very cool story arc. So yeah, got that one here I wanted to share with you guys. Then I also have, this was a big one back in my day when I was a kid. Oof, Wolverine number 10. Everyone wanted to get their hands on Wolverine number 10. It was the first time Wolverine and Sabretooth locked claws and, got to know each other, right? Well, at that point anyway, there's probably retcons that say, well, actually, here's a story where like they met in the, 1900, early 1900s or 1800s or who knows what. I don't know. I'm not keeping up with the modern stuff nearly as much as the older 70s, 80s, and 90s comics. But back in those days, this was the thing to get. It was like, oh, not the first appearance of Sabretooth. That was Iron Fist issue. Shoot, I forget. Issue 14, maybe? Let me know in the comments down below. What was Sabretooth's first appearance? It's one of the Iron Fist comics. But yeah, Iron Fist and Wolverine became lifelong enemies and, like, you know, relatives, and like the story just kept evolving and evolving, and it was cool. So yeah, this was a big book to get back in those days. And then just, I don't know, for my money, just a beautiful cover. Wolverine issue number, 17. I'm not sure if there's a more iconic Wolverine cover than this one. This is, you know, on shirts and just depicted in so many different places. And it is a fantastic cover. And the beautiful red background, Wolverine claws out, diving towards the viewer. Beautiful cover. So yeah, I got this one as well. You know, again, the first 30 or so issues. So just thought that would be a cool one to share with you guys also. Yeah, I do love Wolverine. Maybe, well, not maybe. Definitely not as much as Spider-Man. Definitely not as much as some other, you know, things like my Swamp Thing books. But I'm a big fan, so I'm working on this run as well. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it so far. Well, that's everything pretty much worth showing you that I've got new. I get current comics every month. I've got like 20 books on my pull list, but I'm not going to tell you guys all about the current stuff that I bought unless there's something particularly awesome about it. And I might do that in the future. There's a few series that I'm really enjoying reading that I will no doubt share with you guys in the future. But hey, check this guy out, by the way. I didn't mention we're doing the 10,000 subscriber giveaway. We're at over 6,000 subscribers already, if you can believe that. This channel has only been around since late August. Let's just say September 1st, roughly. So September, October, November, December, 4 months, and we're already at 6,000 subs. But when we hit 10,000, I'm going to give you guys the chance to win the entire Wolverine miniseries, issue 1, of course, plus issues 2, 3, and 4, which are back behind me on the desk. Trust me, they're a part of the giveaway as well. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have notifications turned on. And when we hit 10,000 subscribers, what I'll do is post an official giveaway video. You need to see that video to make sure that you are entered for the giveaway. There's a little roundabout kind of pain in the butt thing that I have to do to facilitate a giveaway, but watch that video and it will all be clear. But yeah, that said, I just wanted to share some of the new stuff that I've gotten over the last couple of months since I've done one of these collection tour videos. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing that stuff. I know some of you guys are not going to enjoy it because, you know, it's just mostly modern comics, relatively modern anyway. That's what I like. That's what I like to collect. I'm trying to recapture my lost youth. Those are the books of my youth from, you know, the ages of middle school, 8th grade on up into young adulthood and, you know, early adulthood. So that's what I go after mostly. Will I expand into older Bronze and Silver Age books? Maybe eventually, maybe when I get everything else that I want. But it's not really a huge priority for me at this point, but you know, time will tell. But yeah, I love the collection that I've been building so far over the last 6 months or so. I love sharing it with you guys and talking to you guys about it. So do me a favor, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this stuff. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Of course, click the notifications icon. And of course, give me a thumbs up if you could be so kind. It really helps grow the channel, and I would appreciate it very, very much. With all that said, I'm going to sign off for today, and I am going to say, as always, keep collecting comics first and foremost. Keep watching our videos. We really appreciate it here. And until the next one, bye now.